Hello and welcome to this album with me, William Hann. Normally, it's the podcast where each episode, a guest and I are going to deep dive an album of their choice, but this is no ordinary episode. This is a Glastonbury special. And I'm joined by someone pretty special. It's a dear friend of mine, Marie Morgan.
Thank you.
Very, very welcome, Marie. Welcome.
I'm really glad to be here. And I've been trying to get me on it. And we sort of had a lot of discussions and I was a bit nervous. And then when you said, do you want to come on and talk about Glastonbury? I was like, yeah.
We've got an easy one here.
Yeah.
We're going to tap this one in.
Exactly.
So what are your Glastonbury credentials, Marie?
So funnily enough, I think when I look at a lot of our friends, shall we say, I haven't been half as much as a lot of you guys. Like I think this year will be my 7th year.
It's pretty good going.
It is. And I went sort of 5 years. When I first went, I went 5 years in a row. 2008.
What a year.
I know. Which I think we'll be talking about today.
It might come up.
It might. And I went like 5 years in a row and then kind of just life got a bit in the middle, a bit in the way, didn't go for that kind of middle stretch and then went again in 2022. Yeah, the first one post-COVID. And I was a bit like, after having such a big break, like, how will I find it? Will I love it as much? And I actually think I probably enjoyed it more than any other one. So I'm going again this year.
Do you think camping with me for the first time had something to do with that?
Well, I didn't actually camp with you, so maybe that's why. Yeah. No, I didn't.
I've got great memories and photos of us at the campsite.
Yeah, I came to your camp. No, I didn't.
I
didn't know. We were on our own actually. So it was quite chilled, but certainly being there with you, I think we can say added to the experience. I have very fond memories of us two dancing. Hazy memories, but fond.
Yeah, we danced quite a bit, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Did some good dancing. And I look forward to doing it again with you.
100%.
The end of June. We are going to have such a lovely time. But I think as an appropriate sort of warm up towards Glastonbury this year, we'd have a little look back at my first Glastonbury and yours, right?
Yeah.
Class. So we're going to look back at 2008, but before we do, let's look forward. Glastonbury 2025, what's standing out for you, Marie? What are you looking forward to seeing?
So it's really funny because I had to really remind myself of the lineup on the way here. And if you'd said to me before I'd re-looked at it, strangely, the band that I'm most excited about seeing is Deftones because I've never seen them before. Always sort of liked their music a bit, but actually it's one of those ones where it feels like something that if I wasn't at a festival, I wouldn't necessarily go and see, but it's like a iconic band. I'm also, I think one of the bands I'm most excited about seeing, I'm also the most nervous about what it's going to go down like, which is Kneecap, because I just feel like it's going to be one of those ones where if you're not there 3 hours before they start, are you going to see it? And Joe, like my husband, feel weird saying that, but it's not this random person, Joe. He's already like, I don't actually think I want to go, and he loves Kneecap, but he's like, I just don't think I can be asked with it. So that's. I hope that it's, I mean, I'm sure it'll be great, but there's a part of me that's like, I know I'm going to see them. I know I'm going to see them supporting Fontaines.
You're going as well?
Obviously.
Me and Sarah's got tickets last week.
Amazing.
Class.
I mean, I assume I'm going. Carlo, I assume that I can come with you.
Carlo, if you're watching, if you're listening.
This is how I know he's listened.
Great.
Because, anyway.
That'll be your in.
Yeah, so also I think it's the Friday. I think there's one particular, I think it's the main stage lineup that just looks particularly strong. Oh yeah, so it's the Friday Busta Rhymes. I mean,
huge.
Oh my god, that's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if Alanis is going to be on straight after.
Well, I don't even know if Busta's going to be in the Pyramid stage. You'd probably say it's early May yet. We haven't got the full lineup and stage splits and stuff. I don't think Busta Rhymes is actually going to be in the Pyramid stage. I think he's going to play the West Holt stage. I think that would be far more fun. Because sometimes at the Pyramid, things feel a bit distant. You don't quite connect with it. If you're at West Holt's, you're gonna. That's
very true. And it will be rammed at West Holt's as well.
I think so.
Is. But yeah, I think I kind of this year, more so than ever, actually, I guess to go back, the last 2 years, I haven't been because I had my son. Actually, I watched more at Glastonbury on the TV the last 2 years because I wasn't like sad about, I was sad about not being there, but it would have been quite difficult because he was literally born 2 weeks before.
It would not have been an option.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been an option. And I was adamant I was going last year, but then I was like, actually, maybe not. I saw more than ever, and I think this year I'm kind of more about going with the flow. So like, for example, I know on Friday I want to see Buster. I think Wonder Horse are on Friday as well.
Yeah, definitely want to watch them.
Wonder Horse. Saturday it's like Amel and the Sniffers, Father John Misty.
Massive.
I want to see Weezer, but aren't they on like the...
They're on the Woodsies.
Yeah.
But I was saying this, I've got no idea what kind of crowd they're going to pull. Now, we're obviously millennials.
Very much so.
I think even Weezer's like a bit older than us, even. Like, I wasn't like a teenager when Weezer were at their peak. I guess it kind of was. But like, the Blue Album came out in like the 90s.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me as Deftones. It's like that MTV2 culture, which is basically what as a teenager I was watching and listening to. So they're the same category for me as Deftones in terms of a band that I mean, actually I've listened to a lot of Weezer probably over the years, but if they were on the other stage, I'd 100% be there. But there's just a part of me that's like
the risk of not getting a spot.
Yeah, and one of my favourite experiences at Glastonbury was actually 2022 when myself, Joe, and our wonderful friend Charlie just went off to see Squeeze at the acoustic stage, and then kind of just had about 3 hours wandering around. And I want to do a little bit more of that because the stuff that we saw, which was people playing cymbals and drums and a breakdancing contest, was more interesting, I fear, than maybe me going to watch a band that I kind of half like and I'm half paying attention to. So
there's a place in my heart for both that. When you get like all the gang together, 20 thick, whatever, on the pyramid stage watching someone, obviously it's magical. But I really like when you split off into groups of 3, 4, 5 people and you have a little mooch about and do some weird shit. And I feel like there's a lot more banter and fun and laughter that happens when you're in those smaller groups. Yeah,
and I think you've also got a bit more ability to actually find and discover things because you're not like waiting for someone and doing this and doing that. So I'm very much with you on a like. It would be my not that someone's coming to me for advice, but if they were, I would say definitely go and do that and explore kind of in a small group, because you can't be like militant to go and see everything, but you can try and have an afternoon off and be good fun.
Good advice though. Yeah. Good advice, Marie. Okay, so we've got Amel and the Sniffers, we got the Kneecaps, we've got Weezer, we've got Alanis, we've got Buster. Who do you want to see on the lineup that's not on it yet?
So I think this is a bit boring because we've kind of mentioned them, and I guess it's Fontaines. For me, they're like my favourite live band of the moment. So I am a bit, I guess I'm a bit gutted to not have them there, but they're playing all the time, so I will see them whenever. I guess for me, the headliners aren't my favourite, but I say that in a way that it doesn't bother me or like make me feel any different about it. But I love Olivia Rodrigo. Absolutely love her. Yeah. I loved that first album. I saw her at Glastonbury. She was probably one of the best people that I saw that year when she played.
Lucy's saying the same thing, yeah.
And I think the reason why she will do it justice as a headliner also is because she really respects like what Glastonbury is. Yeah. And if you ever, I would actually, if you can, go back and watch that set.
I don't think I have actually.
She did a festival set. Having seen, I think Billie was that same year. Billie did like her stadium set, in my opinion. She did that set that she does kind of everywhere, whereas Olivia did something that was actually really specific for Glastonbury. The way she, got Lily Allen there, she did a cover of Avril Lavigne. It was just such a crowd pleaser. And my cousin was actually with me to watch that. He'd come to Glastonbury from Ireland for the first time. And I was like, "Oh, come and watch this person with me." And he was just like some Disney girl, not interested. And by the end, he was like, she completely kind of wowed him because it was such a good performance for someone that didn't know a single song. So I really have faith she'll do a great job on Sunday. And I think a lot of people who watch it on TV as well will be converted to her.
Well, the thing is, I probably won't watch her other than at Glastonbury. It looks as though she might clash with she does clash with the Prodigy, pretty big one. But it also looks as though she's going to clash with the Libertines / the Maccabees, who I believe are headlining the Park stage. Not confirmed, but I know the Maccabees are playing the Park stage, I assume quite high on the bill. This is William Hand territory here.
I've heard that too, yeah. I mean, it is. I was about to say those bands I have probably seen with you before. If not, I know...
Well, I watched them just a few weeks ago with your husband.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's funny because for me, as much as I love both those bands, I saw Pete Doherty play actually at a random theatre in Watford a few weeks ago, and it was really good.
Yeah.
He had his dog on stage, which was a bit surprising, but it was a fun evening. I think for me it will 100% be Olivia, but I'll be honest, sometimes I'm just so knackered on Sunday that sometimes things like that make a little bit of a decision, but I think Lucy and I will be at Olivia.
She'll be one of the first things I watch back on the telly when I get home, definitely, because I'm gutted I'm missing that. I do really like her. She's great. Saturday night, Charlie XCX.
I think I'm going to do Neil Young.
Are ya?
Yeah, because...
Well, I'm glad someone is.
Yeah. Now, I'm not the biggest Neil Young fan, don't get me wrong, but I didn't see him when he headlined
09
time before.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me... I think it'll be one of those ones where I'll go and watch half of it, and then maybe I'll go and do something else.
Sure.
I think Charlie will be amazing, but I know I can see Charlie again. And, yeah, it's... Maybe I'll regret it, but... Yeah, I'm going to give it a go.
The Glastonbury regrets, man. It can happen to anyone. These are difficult decisions that have to be made, but they do have to be made. Well, that's the future. That's 2025, but that is not what we are here to do today. Let's take a step back in time. 2008. What was happening in your life in 2008, Marie?
2008. So I was 18 when I went to this Glastonbury, just about to turn 19.
Class.
I'd just finished my first year at uni.
You must have felt invincible walking onto that field.
I mean, well, it was quite funny because I had been to a couple of festivals before then, which was like Reading and, like London festivals. And I actually thought I was quite a festival expert, I think, by that point, because I'd done like 3 years at Reading, which was a massive, deal. And a friend of ours, a friend Dan, who I haven't seen in a long time, but I will always remember him for this, said to myself, Joe, and the wonderful Lauren Clifford, who or should I call her Scrampy, and Thomas, I think we should go to Glastonbury about a month before. And I think we hadn't got tickets to Reading, and we were just like, do you know what, we'll give it a go. So we booked these tickets a month before, no problem getting them. And we really didn't plan it at all. I'm pretty sure we knew that you could bring alcohol in, because I know for a fact that would have involved a lot of planning.
Been a factor, yeah.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have shown up and just been like, I can't believe we can't. But I was actually, when I was thinking about this and I was trying to like remember the time, I think I still had a flip phone at this point. I didn't have a, well, definitely not an iPhone.
They came out that year, so very few people did.
But I was like, that is like a real cultural thing to be like, I had a Motorola Razr flip phone, which is one of the best phones ever.
Yeah.
But still, that shows how long ago it was.
Yeah, I was rocking a Nokia N950, if you remember them.
I'm quite impressed that you remember that like straight away, but I don't.
Off the bat.
But yeah.
It was class.
Yeah.
They had internet, but my God, did you have to pay for it?
Yeah.
The technology just wasn't where it needed to be.
No, it wasn't, no.
So you paint a good picture there. I like this. It sort of feels similar to me. I'm a couple of years older than you, not many. I was still incredibly young in 2008. And I don't think I've ever been more excited for anything in my life. I think like yourself, I'd done the Readings beforehand. 06 and 07 Reading were my first two. And I was so in love with it that like Glastonbury 07 wasn't really too appealing, I don't think. But by the time 08 came round, it was just the most exciting thing on the planet. And I think we should get into the lineup and see what madness comes out of us in the process. First things first, shall we look at the poster here?
Yeah.
It's a bit shit, isn't it?
I mean, it's of its time.
The artwork is a bit tame.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's interesting because I guess if you think about it culturally, this was the year that really changed for Glastonbury.
Everything changed.
So it makes sense that the branding and everything is quite like old Glastonbury, if that makes sense, like thinking about it. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think I would be sold on this festival from the image alone. But yeah, I was looking at this poster actually the other day because I've got that amazing book.
Yeah, same here.
And some of them don't actually have the lineup on, so thank God this year did.
We've come a long way, haven't we, in terms of branding and imagery. There's a few things that really stand out to me on this. At the bottom, there's a little phone number to buy your tickets.
Wow.
Just give them a call and get your ticket. How did you get your ticket? Do you remember? You got it quite late on, you said, right?
Yeah, it's funny because when you said like, oh, you were really excited about it, we kind of weren't. Like it was a real last minute-ish decision, and we didn't really have that many friends. We had a few friends who'd been, but it wasn't like something in our group. Because we knew each other at that point. We weren't like best mates, were we? We knew each other. We knew each other, yeah, definitely. I think we were certainly drinking in the same places and going to the same gigs.
At the same time, yeah.
Which still happens to this day. And I think that, yeah, we kind of just showed up with really not knowing much. And I will never forget how kind of in awe and almost overwhelmed we were with the scale of the festival. And I find it funny now because, you know, I don't do anything without insane amount of reading and preparation. And
well, it's because you can now, because you've got the world in your pocket and you can research things. Back then you couldn't really. What could you have researched? Where would you have gone to like learn where to buy alcohol at Glastonbury?
Well, I mean, I knew that, so someone must have told me that. But But yeah, so we booked the tickets, and I don't think we necessarily booked it around the lineup, but I was certainly into a lot of bands there that I liked, and you know, I think I probably saw the most bands that year than I have.
Because I remember I brought my ticket. It must have been October time in 07, before the 08 festival. And I'd been out with my dear friend and former guest, Rob Power, and my little brother, Jack Han, who always gets a mention at about 10, 15 minutes. Then he got his mention.
We love Jack.
And I remember we'd been out to watch Neville Staples, and I'd spent all my money, and then I didn't have any money the next morning to buy a Glastonbury ticket. I remember Rob Power getting the up going, fuck's sake, I just bought a ticket, Bill. You're not even fucking going, sort of thing. I was like, oh, so sorry, I got no money. And eventually, the next payday, I just brought a ticket, just casually and easily as that. Don't worry, problem solved. Because that's how easy it was to buy a ticket.
I remember, so for CSA, we had no problem getting them this year. The next year, because we, it went from 5 of us to suddenly 25 of us because we told everyone in our immediate circle how great it was.
That's what happened to us as well, actually, like a snowball effect.
And it was actually it was amazing, but we went from a small group to a massive group, and it was a bit overwhelming, and it kind of then over the years changed. But I remember even one of the years, maybe it was the next year when it sold out, people were still buying tickets in the couple of weeks before because they were just releasing the ones that got returned. So, you know, some of our friends would be a month before, I just rang up and I got one. Yeah. So it was still really easy to get them.
Well, you could buy them even when the gates opened, you could still buy tickets. As I remember it, I think people didn't want to risk the rain of 05 and 07. Yeah. So once the weather reports came out that it wasn't going to be that way, people got involved.
And I do think we're due a rainy year.
You might be right.
And I'm not saying I want one, but I do think that there's a lot of people, when I see on TikTok all the girls in their outfits, and I'm like, you don't seem like you're prepared for the fact that it could be really bad.
Fittingly, we're going to start at the bottom of the pyramid stage on the Friday, sort of work way up a little bit. And I think it's quite an interesting start, isn't it?
It is. I feel like you're about to
well, look, is friend of the show too strong a word? I would definitely call Kate Nash an acquaintance of the show. No doubt about it. So the best thing to come out of Harrow since Marie Morgan opened the pyramid stage on Friday at Glastonbury.
I'll take that compliment.
You're taking that. Kate Nash, heard of her?
We went to, firstly, Helen, because I know Helen will be what mention me first, which I will, Helen, of course. Yep. I actually have fond memories of you at this Glastonbury. But no, can
I stop you there for a second, actually? I did put a bit of correspondence out on the social media. We've had a few messages come through. This is a message from Helen Nash, sister of Kate. Hi, Helen. Marie gave and I stored on the top of my lip balm.
That might be one of those ones where you cut it out, you know? Helen... Oh, Helen, you know we can't talk about that on here, but we had a lot of fun. And I was actually, when I was looking at photos. But anyway, Helen is... sorry, I don't know what to say to that.
No, nothing to say, don't worry.
Kate, it was really fun watching Kate kind of go on her rise to fame because her sister Helen is one of my best friends still. We met in primary school, still a really, really good friend of mine. So it was so fun because we literally were going to Kate's first gigs and just all the same pubs and all the same places. So Kate is pretty cool. It was just, this was kind of, I guess, I don't know if it was her first year in the pyramid or she'd done it the year before, but I definitely remember watching her and it was pretty amazing to see someone you've known that long do something that incredible. And she went on and did a lot more. Yeah,
watching her career take off in the way it did was mad. I remember because I was in bands the same sort of time, like 2006, Harrow, Trinity.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew Kate from going to house parties and stuff when we were 16, but for some reason we sort of didn't really do stuff musically at the time. I guess that was just, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why that was. We sort of, who knows? I have no idea. It was mad just watching a girl you knew from house parties and stuff go on to be at the front of NME, have a #1 album, absolutely kill it on Jules Holland, and open the pyramid stage at Glastonbury. Looking at this lineup though, I didn't catch Kate that day, but it took me a while to watch anyone that day. I can't begin to imagine what time I would have woken up, because the first band I remember watching would be on the John Peel stage about 6 bands in, Lightspeed Champion. And I don't know what I was doing. I must have been in all kinds of trouble to get out of bed that late. But that's the first act I watched. And something quite funny happened during that set, where my phrase for that sort of weekend, my sort of bullshit catchphrase you say to everyone is, that must be some kind of sick joke when someone says anything that's not that shocking. And I remember some guy next to me said to his mates, oh guys, I'm going to shoot off now. I'm going to go watch The Feeling on the Pyramid stage. And I've turned around and gone, is that some kind of sick joke? And he got well defensive and well aggy about it. Like, to the extent where, like, he had to get pulled away from me because I thought it was...
That's not very Glastonbury of him.
It's not very Glastonbury of him, but it's not very Glastonbury of me to mock someone for their music taste.
True.
But something really funny happened where the next band I wanted to watch, I had to walk through the Pyramid stage to get where I needed to be.
And you watched The Feeling?
I had to watch a bit of The Feeling, but my concern was bumping into this geezer and like him having a few things to say to me. But it didn't happen. We were okay. Back to the Pyramid stage on the Friday. The Subways, hello.
I didn't watch the Subways, and I'd actually been a massive fan of the Subways in previous years. But I look at the Friday, and I'd actually just forgotten about all these people on there. And yes, like, you know, some of those. Well, I mean, I can't say that gossip like great, but God, it's mad to think the Fratellis were like second.
That is the big standout on that. Yeah. The Fratellis second to last on the Pyramid stage.
I mean,
that is crazy. The power of Chelsea Dagger. That's what it can do to your career. And they did actually do like a mildly viral sort of tweet, probably about 9 months ago, a year ago. Well, it was probably during Glastonbury last year, where they joked how they haven't been asked back to Glastonbury since because they tore the place up so much. And I assume in 2008, you know, Chelsea Dagger probably went down pretty well. But that is a band that have not aged well. And they are back at Glastonbury this year.
Oh, okay.
They're on a very small stage, but they are back.
There we go.
But yeah, that is the standout of like WTF moment, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
that shows how far we've come.
Yeah, definitely. I can't. And I saw Kings of Leon that year.
Class.
I thought they were great.
Killed it.
It was. I think also that was when Kings of Leon were
peak at their powers.
At their peak. I loved that album. I loved them at the time, and that was just a great headliner.
It was a great moment. It was just before Sex on Fire.
Yeah.
So they played 2 new songs from that album that night. They opened with Crawl, which is a banger. And they played another song I can't remember the name of now. So you heard those 2 songs for the first time that night and you think, fuck, now this next album is going to be amazing. And for a couple of days it was. And then Sex on Fire and You Somebody definitely lost a bit of the joy within about 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. It's it is a. I mean, I'm sure it was not a shame for them because obviously it took their career to like such a different height.
Yes.
But as someone who'd loved them right from that first album, I think that was probably the peak of seeing them, and I loved it.
It definitely was. I mean, I must have watched that performance back on YouTube countless times. The performance of Milk they do is just fucking unbelievable, and they look the business. They are cool as cucumbers, right where they need to be. But that's another band that hasn't been back since.
Interesting.
I think they'd make a great surprise act.
Yeah, I would 100% go and see them if I found out they were playing, and I would get excited about that because it's a bit of, I guess, nostalgia for that era. But actually, strangely, I have listened to their latest album because for some my son is obsessed with their song Mustang, and we don't know why.
He's a cool guy.
We don't know why, but it's his first favourite song. So I feel like I would definitely go and see them.
Yeah.
So that could be. Let's hope.
I think that would be class.
Yeah.
They're a really tough band to know where to put them on a festival lineup in 2025. I mean, they've got a headline, but it's such a sort of naff headliner. Whereas secret set like the Foo Fighters or something called like Kasabian Love a Year.
Yeah.
These are like festival stadium headlining bands playing somewhere they shouldn't be. Great. We'll have that.
I would also argue that one of the reasons why people love them so much as well was because they loved British culture and they were really embraced by the UK. So, you know, maybe they understand the importance of Glastonbury and they would do a secret set, but...
Let's find out. Exactly. Emily Evis, pull your finger out. Let's move on to Saturday. Opening the Pyramid stage is Shakin' Stevens. Merry Christmas, Marie.
I was definitely not out of bed. I mean, I actually wish because it's the thing we were saying before, like when you're with a group of people, you can't see every single person you want.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even at that time, I would have loved to have seen Martha Wainwright.
I don't know anything about Martha Wainwright. Educate me.
What's the song called? Bloody Motherfucking Arsehole. Have you heard that song?
What'd you call me?
I called you that exact. That's the name of one of her
Bloody Motherfucking Arsehole.
I'm going to send you it afterwards. It's amazing.
Radio hit?
Maybe not, but it's absolutely incredible.
Amazing. I'm falling in love with this woman already. She sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because that Saturday, I think the only people I saw on the main stage, and I say the only people, was Amy and Jay-Z, but that is iconic, and that will go down.
Not a bad night out, is it?
And they were, and you know, I at the time, obviously, Amy was just everywhere, and it was so exciting, and like that wasn't the best performance, of course not, but it was quite fun and it was quite chaotic. But I remember watching Jay-Z and thinking, like, this is incredible. It felt just so exciting, like when he came out and did Wonderwall, and I think of a lot of the like performers that I've seen there, I'm so glad that I got to see that, because it kind of changed. I feel like I got quite serious there. I got a bit work mode, sorry.
I want to go back to Amy. Was that your first time seeing her?
I don't think so, but I definitely because she was kind of around, like, I know I remember having a funny time in like Proud galleries before and being like stood next to her when she was like running around, and I definitely was too young to be there, and it was all a bit strange, but she was just kind of someone who you'd see. I bumped into her a few times in Camden. Yeah.
And one of my claim to fame is being in the Good Mixer and her saying, "Excuse you, mate," while she took a shot at Paul. And I got out of Amy Winehouse's way.
And she's very short, so that would have made sense.
It made sense. That Amy performance, I caught the first couple of minutes of it because we wanted to shoot off to catch the last Shadow Puppets secret set. So I watched the first two songs, and it was like the Amy experience. My heart melted. I thought, oh, just incredible. I can't even get in to watch this. Really do need to go to watch the Shadow Puppets though. Like, fuck, this is heartbreaking. And, shit, here we go. It's that Glastonbury decision. Off we go. Little did we know that we missed the secret set by about 2 hours.
I was going to ask, like, how did everyone find out about secret sets then?
Honestly, it was word of mouth stuff, I think, for the most part. Though saying that, actually, in fact, I've got a great answer for you. When we get round to the park stage, I've got a great answer for you on that, actually. Right. But hold on to that for. But that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think it was really word of mouth.
Actually, I think I'm remembering who the secret headliner was or the secret set on the park stage was.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But also, Amy Winehouse is a late addition to the lineup. She didn't get added till about 3 weeks before the thing. It was secret guest for ages. Really? And I remember the website changing one day. I was like, fucking hell, amazing. So that was class.
This is funny because like this year I wasn't doing that stuff. Like from the next year onwards, I would have been checking all that stuff and into it. But we just kind of showed up.
Well, the technology wasn't there. It wasn't that easy to get the information. And just people weren't as glued to the internet as they are now. But going back to Jay-Z, absolutely fucking legendary, iconic set. I was up for that from the go. I was well up for it, Jay-Z playing. And it was amazing. Loved it. Great gang of us. Had a great time. But my little brother, Jack, he's getting mentioned again. He loved this. He had a theory afterwards. We all talked about how amazing it was, the entrance, the world-famous, infamous entrance he did. But then Jack said afterwards, he goes, yeah, it was great in that. Wouldn't you rather it was Oasis on stage doing Wonderwall?
I mean, Jack, that's quite a you comment.
That's very Jack. Indie through and through.
Do you know, it's funny because Joe's like, you're so geeky about this stuff. And I was like, well, that's why we're friends.
Well, we are. Me, Jack, Bowley.
But I'm back to like a real geek here when I say this. But I was reading an interview about Jay-Z doing that performance, and apparently his karaoke song in bars in Brooklyn for years was Wonderwall.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
It actually wasn't even just that obviously there was the whole Noel Gallagher diss thing, but he actually was a song that he really liked and would always sing. So,
right.
But it was just quite magical. It was so fun.
It was amazing. Just the unexpectedness of it, wasn't it? You can't put into context how mad that was. That video intro, all the sort of madness of like the Rolling Stones and stuff, and Noel Gallagher. You know, it was to be in that field, not knowing it was coming. Like it was really, really special, and sort of questioning what you're seeing. You go, "What the fuck is this?" And you're hearing one go, "Is that Wonderwall he's playing right now?" You're sort of doubting your own reality. And especially by that point, for us, our first Glastonbury's, we're like, also. One of the things, we went down on Thursday. We didn't even know you could go on Wednesday. Like, we didn't realise that was a thing. Yeah. But it was, by that point, you're well into it. You know you love it. It's the best thing ever. So you found your feet. Just to have that, so good. Class. Talk to us about Sunday morning. Who are we looking at first in the pyramid stage? I'm going to get some more wine. I don't think I saw anyone on the pyramid stage. I would have loved to have seen Gilbert O'Sullivan. That would have been fun. But I was definitely asleep. I think that we went straight to the Verve. And... I have the absolute fondest memories of the Verve. I know that Joe wants me to talk about, and I'm sure anyone who was there with me at the time will say, you need to talk about what a mess I was actually at the Verve, because I would just
I just had the best time and I absolutely loved it. And it's such fun memories for me. I wouldn't say I was the biggest Verve fan before, but I just thought they put on a great show. And Verve reminds me of, you know, the Britpop era, being young. And I wouldn't even say my dad was a big Verve fan, because he's definitely going to listen to this and question me on this stuff. But I just loved it. And I think it was the people I was with, actually. The people I was with, my good friends Paul McCarthy, Leanna, Cass, all that lot, they were massive Verve fans because they're a little bit older than me. So for them, it was like maybe some of their like teenage years, and it was just amazing. I loved it.
No, that sounds about right for me as well. It was a really, really magical moment. That's the best thing I saw at Glastonbury that year by a long way. And I wasn't in the slightest bit excited for it. For some reason, I didn't really give it much consideration until the second we left the campsite to walk to the pyramid stage. It was about a 3-minute walk, was camped right next to it. And I just thought, this is going to be amazing. And the second they opened with a song called This Is Music, which is a song I'd never heard before. And the second it started, this is the best thing I've seen in my life. It was just incredible. I cried my eyes out for most of the set. My brother Jack wouldn't stop hugging me most of the set. His arm around my back and waist. When you sort of go, right, it's enough sort of thing, gave him the little up, goes, nope, I'm not letting go of you. I'm not letting go. We're going to stand here and cry all night.
Some brotherly love.
And also what happened that night, I mean, we might have to censor this out, I don't know, but they, I don't know if you remember this at Glastonbury.
And I feel like maybe I should start where you could like cut this in or something. But we watched them, we were so happy, and we were like, let's go and explore the night bit. And I don't even know if we'd really done, no we had, but we went to the kind of night bit, which was a very different experience then to what it is now.
Sure.
Very different. And I was just having the time of my life. I was singing. I remember specifically I found an empty stage and I did some break dancing, which is not something you'd normally associate.
Do it well, or?
I can safely say no, but I think it gave people a laugh. But I know that Lauren would certainly say it was like having a toddler that night, because I was just
uncontrollable, attracted by bright lights, and
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was probably one of the best nights of my life. But yeah,
agreed. And to be fair, that's something I hadn't thought about actually until just we started talking about the Verve. Was just before the Verve, I watched Cole Barrett play a secret acoustic set on, I believe, the Landfill stage, and it was brilliant. And Jack said to me afterwards, Bill, I've done it. I've discovered the meaning of life. But I can't tell you yet. I can't tell you yet, but I'll let you know what it is. For about 2 hours, he kept telling me, I'm going to tell the meaning of life. After the Verve, I'll tell you. I was like, fucking hell. So about halfway through the Verve, I was like, hey, Jack, I'll sort of pull away tears from my eye. Whew, fucking hell, Jack. So any luck with that meaning of life stuff that you're going to tell me? He goes, I'll tell you in a bit. Anyway, the show finishes. I go, Jack, it's the meaning of life. He goes, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I can't remember what it was now.
One of my favourite memories of Glastonbury was with your brother Jack, where we basically found out that the acoustic stage, the main bar there, sells San Miguel, and for some reason, everywhere we went, there would always be someone talking about it. And we were like, one day, because there's obviously a lot of Scousers there, which is great. But one of the Scousers turned around and was like, did you not hear that there's San Miguel on the acoustic stage? So now, for about 2 years after, Jack would always text me and be like, I've heard that there's San Miguel in various bars and places we're going. So, yeah.
It's a stage I've never been to, actually. Never been to the acoustic stage.
I hadn't either, but I cannot explain how nice it is. And I would say, especially for people like us and our maybe mid-30s, mid-30s too. It is just, it's so nice. It's like real like dad IPA, chill vibes. But as I say, we saw Squeeze there, but Michael Eavis came out, Youngblood came out, and it was really quite magical. And they sell San Miguel, and apparently they sell Guinness, but I wouldn't be drinking Guinness at Glastonbury. But it's just, I would definitely say if you need to have a few chill hours, I would recommend it.
Big recommendation there. Thank you very much indeed. Shall we move on to the other stage, Marie?
Yes.
Let's have a look. Come on, we'll start from the bottom. Ida Maria.
I remember her main song, but
was that the one?
I Like You So Much Better When You're Naked. I remember that
banger,
one.
yeah. She's got another song which is actually better than I'm thinking of. I got the. Can you get your phone up quickly and have a look? It's going to kill me. Actually, I can do it here. Let's have a look. Oh my God, that's her other one. It's better than I Like You So Much Better When You're Naked. It's actually a really good song.
I mean, I didn't see her.
No, me neither.
I don't think I did.
Me neither.
I actually remember. So Vampire Weekend played twice this year.
They did. I was going to say, in fact, now I'm looking at this, Vampire Weekend was the first band I watched.
Yes, and I was trying to remember whether I saw them on that day or the other day.
Yeah, they played the John Peel stage on, I think, the Saturday, I think it was.
Yeah, so I think we spent a lot of time at the other stage on the Friday, because I remember Vampire Weekend, the weather wasn't great, and they were the first band we saw, and it was just like, I really, really enjoyed it. And at that point, like, especially with the age I was, like, they were the bands that I was more interested in.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know,
white guys with guitars. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what? Vampire Weekend are a band I'd still go and see if they played this weekend.
I watched them in December at Brixton. It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
In fact, they're another band that are quite likely to play, I think, this year.
Ooh,
Secret
good.
Set. I wouldn't rule that out at all. Jolene and the Jing Jang Jong, can we discuss?
I mean, I remember them.
You do?
I certainly remember the name. I definitely would have seen them in various
I saw
lineups,
that band
but-
a lot. Missing them that day must have really wound me up at the time. I'm looking at that thinking like 08 Bill would have been kicking himself for not getting out of bed for that. Quality band. If you watched them, would love to know what your memories of that are. They were fucking great. Oh my God. But yeah, Vampire Weekend, it was pretty wet at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching Foals that day.
Yeah, I was a massive Foals fan at
Still
the time.
am. Love them.
Probably one of the bands that maybe not now, but like at the time I'd seen the most. I was really...
Oh, still for me. I think it's probably one of
Yeah.
the bands I've watched the most. You're talking about 20 times I've watched Foals, I reckon. Jesus. Yeah.
They were great. Like they were great that year. Like I really enjoyed that, and I just remember having seen Vampire Weekend and Foals. It kind of really then set you up for the rest of the.
Well, I feel like that was definitely the moment when my weekend sort of begun. Things started to get a bit wobbly, a little bit funny, and things started kicking in. And yeah, that was definitely the point. In fact, that's another one. That performance, the intro, the opening of that set, I have watched so many times on YouTube. They open with like this weird sort of bonus track, which is like an instrumental thing called XXXXX, and then goes into the French Open, and it is just electrifying. It is such a great performance. Like Yannis looks like he's absolutely off his head. He's not. He's just performing. You know what I mean? But it is such a good performance.
Were they on the? Was that still for only first album?
First album, yeah.
God, I love that. But the thing is, as I had really been into them like from, and particularly at that, like I was a student at Goldsmiths at that point, so like Foals were everything at that point.
Funny you say that, because one of my claim to fames is that I saw Foals play a friend of mine's house party, which isn't too far from Goldsmiths.
Oh, really?
There's about 30 people crammed into her bedroom at like a uni residence thing. And there's like YouTube footage of this. It's had like fucking hundreds of thousands of likes. And there's like 2007 me in this bedroom, not knowing who Foals are, going, fucking yes.
I mean, that is a pretty good claim to fame.
Pretty
Especially
claim to fame, that
people like me who would really find that exciting. So, yeah.
Happy. I'm in my target audience right now.
Exactly.
We Are Scientists. Didn't watch them. Gutted about that.
I can't remember. So if I might have not, but
No,
I think if I can't remember.
definitely didn't.
No.
I definitely didn't. The Enemy, again, we're looking at very 2008 territory here, aren't we? The Enemy that high up on the bill.
No.
Yeah. And then a very rogue booking, Panic at the Disco.
I mean, you say it's a road booking, but they were pretty huge at the time. And I'm thinking back to that whole MTV2 thing we were saying before. You know, they were at that time
Big band. They were a big
They're
band.
not
And that was
bands.
on their second album, which had a really great single. I can't remember what it's called now. Really, really good single. They were a big band. However, Glastonbury wasn't ready for it. So I wasn't there for it. But NME talked about how there was literally about 120, 200 people there. It was beyond dead. Like, yeah, apparently. So that shows how much Glastonbury attitudes have changed. I think if Panic at the Disco played the other stage nowadays, there'd be a massive crowd for that, wouldn't there?
Well, but that's the millennial effect, isn't it?
Well, this is it.
Like if they played, like you'd have people who went for the nostalgia, whereas at that point they would.
They were a bit of a punch bag. Like
exactly.
emo, it was an indie festival still, Glastonbury. It really was. They didn't want, like a Fall Out Boy, a Panic at the Disco, a My Chemical Romance. No one's interested.
I mean, the fact that you have the Fratellis as the second headliner.
And it was
certainly
mobbed,
shows
and people
you that.
loved it. We've come a long way. We've come a long way. Should we look at Saturday?
Yes.
Come on then. This is the first band that aren't in blue on Wikipedia. A band called The Travelling Band. Heard of them?
No.
I
not
have.
at all.
I really,
really?
like them, and I watched them. But they played the Park stage on the Sunday, which isn't on here. They must have played 2 sets, and I'm pretty sure it's not on here. No, it's not. But I definitely watched them play the Pyramid Park stage. It was brilliant. They've got at least one really good song that I can't remember the name of now, but it's really good. Yeah, very sort of folky, country-ish, but yeah, very good. Didn't watch them that Saturday. They're the first band I watched on that stage is a little-known band called Los Campesinos.
I didn't watch them. I sort of listened to them a little bit at the time, but I mean, I just think I think this Saturday is actually a pretty good other stage lineup.
It's really solid.
It's
isn't
really
it?
solid. And
really solid.
I think it's just it feels quite varied as well.
In what way? Tell me more.
Well, you know, you've got your kind of typical, like you've got your typical indie band. You've then got your
Fire off some names. What are we looking at?
Well, we've got some real, as we call it, apologies, landfill indie.
We've got some landfill indie here.
Wombats.
Hello.
One Night Only.
Hello. That's proper landfill. That's like a one album band. Very Handsome Boys, One Night Only.
Yeah. Black Kids, who I loved at the time, but they disappeared. I feel like there's some whole lore about them, like had that one album and it just kind of disappeared. That
single is like a 10 out of 10
song.
song.
My God, I know.
I didn't like it at the time. I was a bit sort of stubborn about it, but...
Oh my God, that was a real like 07 dance floor thing, yeah.
Trinity Anthem.
And then I think, Duffy, massive pop act, so you've got to have those. Elbow, I'm not massively a fan. Well, I'm not even massively a fan. I'm not a fan, but that's a Glastonbury sort of classic. You can't
magic, isn't it? Some of those choruses, my God, I don't think it gets much better than a day like this. That's about as good as songs get, really, at Glastonbury.
It's not
Sunset time, third from the end on the other stage. Hello, that's a good night out,
exactly.
Isn't it?
It's not for me, but I get it, and I think that's the kind of more important thing. Like, and to go Elbow then into Hot Chip.
Look at that now. That's 3 massive Glastonbury bands back to back.
Exactly.
You go Elbow, you go Hot Chip, you go Massive Attack. That's very Glastonbury right there, isn't it?
It's also quite interesting because Hot Chip at that point, were they on maybe their first, but they
second album, I'd have thought. Yeah.
And I feel
big slot for them.
I feel like actually maybe Elbow would come above Hot Chip now, but like that lineup could still, maybe the top 3 would still be in that order now. They'd still kind of, if they played the other stage today.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like doing these. You look back and think what's changed and what seems like really incongruous now. That works.
Yeah.
That works for me. Massive Attack, Hot Chip, Elbow.
That has not dated at all. And I didn't see Massive Attack. I would have at the time loved to have seen Massive Attack, but they'd certainly be and I don't regret it. But
I was busy Jay-Z and Plan B wasn't bad though. Massive Attack, Hot Chip, Elbow, not bad. Let's move on to the last day of the festival. Boo. We're at the other stage on Sunday. Yeah, a lot of names there I'm not familiar with. Want to run through a few for us, Emery?
So we start with Black Sherry.
Never heard of them.
Hoodoo Gurus.
Never heard of them.
Black Mountain.
Never heard of them.
Newton Faulkner.
Glastonbury as fuck.
Yeah. Jack Pignate, who...
I watched him.
He's our era. Like, he is 100%
yeah.
that. And I might have seen that. I can't remember.
Well, I do. I've got a very big memory of that because I remember having the ump. I must have been up quite early that day and seeing loads of shit and wandering a lot, which is great. But I remember thinking, I think I want to watch some fucking bands now. I really want to watch some fucking bands. It's nice doing stuff and making a tyre out of old rope or something. I don't know, whatever you can do there. I really want to watch some fucking bands. So I remember watching Jack Pignate and going, oh, thank fuck. Like, I was just so relieved to get some indie in my veins after, 8 hours of not. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was class. Mark Ronson afterwards.
I mean, that's a great booking for that. And it kind of almost sounds like strange to say that because at that time, I can't remember where his career was. Would that have been the big album
at that point, though?
No.
We're not in Valerie territory at this point.
No, it must have been, actually.
It must have been.
I don't know if he... Do you know, there's a picture in my book, to bring up my geeky book again, of Lily Allen, and I think she maybe came out with him.
It must have been, yeah. And before Amy as well, right? But I don't remember seeing footage of Amy joining him on stage.
Don't know if Amy would have been around on the Sunday.
Yeah,
she would have been in a fit state on Sunday. Yeah. But I mean, he's great. Like do you know what? I think he'd be a great, not necessarily a headliner, but I think he would be great. And maybe you're going to tell me that he has, but like he'd be a great second headliner, I think.
I remember a couple of years back, it's one of the ones, I think maybe 2019, it's one of the ones I missed. And I think it was the Friday. The other stage on the Friday was just brutal. Yeah. And he was one of them. I think it was like second or third from last. Basically played the best of set. And like I said, I wasn't there, but like watching the telly, it was brilliant. Like Uptown Funk era.
Oh my God.
It was really good. Yeah, loads of fun.
He's great.
He's great. We like Mark. He used to be a neighbour of mine, actually. Used to see him all the time around Ladbroke Grove, Notting Hill way. I'd get the bus to work sometimes and sort of wave. And sometimes he'd see me. Sometimes he wouldn't.
I mean, celeb spotting is your thing.
It's kind of my thing.
As you did your little...
kind of my thing, actually. Have I got a photo of... I must have a photo of Mark Ronson somewhere.
What? At the terminal? In the airport?
At the old life at the airport. I'll find out. Scouting for Girls. Hello.
I mean, we're getting into indie landfill territory again.
I mean, indie's quite a strong word.
I actually... Yeah, and do you know they're from Harrow?
They're Ruislip boys.
Oh, okay. Well, they're even more specific.
The Ruislip of Harrow. Doesn't work. The Beverly Hills of Harrow? What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Is Ruislip in Hillingdon or Harrow?
It's the London Borough of Harrow.
look, it's all that matters is where your bins, like who collects your bins.
Who collects your bins?
If Harrow collects your bins, then it's in Harrow.
It's a really good point.
I know that they again have like played at Trinity.
They have a few times, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see them. Do you know what? I think still have got a big audience. I don't, maybe.
They do,
yeah. So, you know, fair enough. I'm sure a Sunday crowd is always a bit different. I don't always love Sundays because it just feels so much busier. I get really sad because people are packing up their tents.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I get a bit of a sense that I've got to go back to reality.
It's looming there on the left hand side, isn't it? That's my right, actually. That side, sorry, left.
And I really struggled the last time I went on the Sunday. In hindsight, it's because I had raging,
emotionally or?
Physically and emotionally.
Right, yeah.
And in hindsight, it was because I had raging COVID and didn't realise. I was quite proud of myself when I got back, and I was like, I wasn't just being a wuss.
Being dramatic.
I was actually quite ill. But anyway, so I think this year I'm kind of determined to make sure I enjoy Sunday a bit more because I lost it that time.
We'll get you a day back.
Exactly. Yeah. But Scout, you went. So I'm going to say you go in from Scouting for Girls into Pigeon Detectives, which is very much of its era. Third headliner.
Yeah.
But then, actually, I think that it redeems itself because you've got the Zootons.
You have.
Now, I like the Zootons, don't get me wrong, but Joe absolutely loves them and has been to see them about 3 times this year already.
Their last album was class.
Yeah.
Really good.
So I think that would be a really nice Sunday afternoon vibe. And then the headliner, Groove Armada.
Dance Legends.
I think that's another real Glastonbury.
Honestly, some of their best ofs, like fucking hell, Super Styling, Sunday night at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Show me a bigger chorus.
I know.
Holy moly.
Would have been great.
Would have been great. Wasn't there for it though. My Sunday evening, as discussed, was spent watching Wigan's finest, Nutty Richard Ashcroft.
The time of our lives.
Right then, let's get back to it. I'm actually going to take this opportunity to do 2 things I've done before on this podcast. One is to create a bit of campsite ambience. We're at Glastonbury now, baby.
Love it.
And I'm also going to take the opportunity to do something I've done on the podcast before, which is some correspondence. So let's have a look. We've had a few messages over the Instagrams. Would you like to read a few?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then. You can read, if you want to read the first one, you can. But tread carefully. It's from a man who very much made his presence felt at the campsite at Glastonbury 2008. Marie, take it away.
So, shall I say his name? Are we going to reveal that?
I might have to censor it, but go on.
Okay, so John Inkley.
Hi, John.
So John says, I shit my pants at the Stone Circle, threw the pants away, and the wind blew them back in my face.
Thanks for the message, John.
John, that's a true experience.
Thanks, John.
The second message...
We've already read that one.
We've already read that one.
Thanks, Helen.
And the third message is from Georgie Rechner.
Hello, Georgie. Friend of the show.
Hello. So Georgie said she remembers being so broken by the Sunday, crying real tears.
Relatable, right?
Oh, yeah. On the phone to family for an emergency lift home, and ended up catching the National Express and lost the Ray-Bans.
Oh, man, that's the risk you take. You bring the Ray-Bans to a festival, you do not expect them to come back on the National Express with you, do you?
I mean, yeah, I feel like now, though, I'm a little bit more like loose with that stuff. I bought actually...
In what way?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is more a conversation I'd have with your wife than you, but I actually bought like a kind of old pair of Celine sunglasses last time, and I brought them back with me. So...
It can be done.
I know.
Is a risk you're willing to take for 2025?
Same pair.
Let's fucking do it. Let's go again. We go again.
Exactly. So there's 2 more. There's Mariana. She was at Glasgow 08, her second one ever, and she had a fab time. She saw Amy, Jay-Z and Kings of Leon and spent most of her time in the John Peel tent.
Shout out to Mariana. Time well spent. Well, in fact, that's a good segue, actually. Maybe we'll come back to that. She spent most of her time in the John Peel tent. Let's have a little look, shall we?
Okay.
Let's go to the bottom of it. It is pretty stacked, honestly. This is 08 through and through, isn't it?
But this, again, like, we were at the age where we were so into most of those bands, and I think that it's interesting now where I might, like, I don't feel like I need to know all the bands on the John Peel, like, stage now. And it's not even called the John Peel stage now, is it? But at that point, if I didn't know those bands, I'd be concerned because I was meant to know them.
Who the fuck are they?
Exactly.
What's going on?
Although actually,
I was saying that the first 2, I don't know who they are.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, I mean, this was like proper indie.
Yeah. Well, let's go for the first 2 first. Roy World, never heard of him. Second person, Patrick Watson, never heard of him.
No.
But then...
That girl's an indie Cindy.
Lego haircut and polka dot dress. It's Hadouken, a band who I don't mind telling you I didn't actually like at the time. Going back now, I think a really, really good and a really interesting and a really exciting band. It takes some balls to make grime and be that white.
I mean, I remember going to see them at Camden Underworld, and I must have been about maybe 16, maybe 17. And I felt old.
Really?
Then. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they had such a big thing with that kind of like and it was much better, I think, for young people at that point as well. They did all those underage gigs, but
Definitely was.
I remember feeling a little bit too old to watch it there. But I think, if I'm honest, by that point, I wouldn't have gone to see them. I would have been over it by then.
They felt a bit too sophisticated for that.
Sophisticated was not a word associated with me then and now, but it's probably more just like, I guess they'd had that kind of, that song, I can't remember what it's called, but the one we just referenced, that would have been a good 2 years maybe before then. Do
you reckon? I think this 1 year, I think that's an 07 banger,
Is it really 07?
I think it is. If I'm wrong, well, fact check me, throw away the key. My indie points would be out the door. But I think that's an 07 song. And then we get into a band who very much dominated NME's front covers for about a year and a half, 2 years, who I don't think really justified the attention they got. We're talking Las Vegas. Thoughts and feelings on Las Vegas, Marie? I
was never really a fan, but I didn't really have much of an opinion. And I was a real NME girl, and we met Connor McNicholas at the 22 Gram podcast. We went together as the geeky friends, as I said. You know, I was like, well, if NME think they're really cool, I probably should think the same. Yeah. And actually, I never really got into them. But they don't offend me.
I think NME got that one wrong. Make Model, now I think about it, Make Model, I think, let's have a look. Should we fact check before I get too carried away?
I remember the name, but I don't remember any songs.
I think it's the other Maccabee Brothers band. Make Model band. Is this your man from the Maccabees? I'm not sure if it is actually. Maybe I've got this wrong. But you are looking at proper. No, I don't think it is actually.
Okay, so you'll be the one to know this more than anyone.
No, I think my indie points were off there. Make Model, I mean, this is as Landfill as it gets, isn't it? Look at this. There you go. Make Model were a Scottish 6-piece indie band formed in Glasgow, formerly signed to EMI. Fucking hell. They released 2 singles and garnered much hype. So by the sound of it, didn't release an album. Signed to EMI.
Wow.
They must have thought the world was at their fingertips. And here we are, 16 fucking years later going, who the fuck are they? Wow. Make Model, bless you. Hope you're doing well, lads. Then we get on to the band I mentioned earlier, Lightspeed Champion. Whatever happened to them?
So it's funny because I've actually just realised the story I said about going to see Hadouken. It wasn't actually Hadouken, it was Test Icicles.
Sure,
but in my mind, so you're right.
Cut from the same cloth, aren't
they?
So
you're right, actually, about the year and Hadouken versus that. But
yeah, that'd be 06 for...
but I guess that shows actually how Dev from Lightspeed Champion has kind of moved on by that point already and changed his career.
Yeah, right. So you'd moved on and so had he.
Exactly. So I mean, I just think that's a great booking in hindsight.
Were you a Lightspeed Champion fan?
I wouldn't say a big fan, but...
Oh, I was. I loved that album. I really liked it. And then we get on to some more indie classics, really. The Young Knives. I
mean, they're again of its era. Liked some of their songs.
Do you know, I didn't like them at the time. I actually like them quite a bit now.
You're the only person I know who would actually admit to going back and listening to them. I don't think I would now.
But they're back on it. They're still doing stuff nowadays, aren't they?
Really?
Yeah, they've got an audience still. Sort of, fat indie accountants.
It's quite niche.
Hey, it's a business, baby.
Exactly.
It's a business. And then we get on to the most 08 band of all time, do you reckon?
I think so. I mean, I think they're still... I mean, are they still playing now?
Funny you ask. So former guest of this podcast, Jess Greenfield of Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, is currently in their band. But they do a very different thing. It's like very... they do like folk versions of their song. They were a 2-piece band, right? And it's now like a 6-piece thing. It's completely different. So what they were doing is the same songs, but in a very different style. Who'd have seen that coming? I'm not quite sure who the audience is for that.
Not me, no.
Yeah, but it's easy to forget how monumentally massive this band were for 2 years. They were everywhere.
I feel like that... So have we actually said it's the Ting Tings?
I don't know. Yeah.
So it's Ting Tings. I feel like that's what people... You know, like when you think about what Glastonbury looks like on TV, and it's this very kind of like white middle class thing. I feel like people watching the Ting Tings was like what you would have thought it was. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know
it was just quite... but yeah, I wasn't there. No disrespect to them, but it just wouldn't have been my thing. But I'm sure they could still play now.
They're doing it. Are they pulling as big a crowd as they would have done in 2008 on the John Peel stage? That is not for me to say. But the next band is definitely of interest, MGMT. Now, this leads me on to one of the great anecdotes of Glastonbury 2008. My dear friend Frank Long, who only watched 3 performances at Glastonbury. One was the Verve, and he watched MGMT twice.
I reckon he had the better time than anyone else at Glastonbury that
King
year.
of the campsite, baby. Which brings me on to one of my theories about Glastonbury, right? Where everyone says that Glastonbury is oversold now, there's too many people, it's too busy. I think they're still selling pretty much the same amount of tickets. The difference is that people like my dear friend Frank Long would spend the entire weekend in the campsite, whereas now people don't do that. People are out and about, they're exploring, they're seeing stuff, they're doing stuff, and that is why Glastonbury feels so much busier nowadays. What are your thoughts and opinions on that incredibly hot take of mine?
I think you're right to a certain extent. I think the TikTok effect is massive. So, like, for example, the first 5 years I went, we're coming up to what, like 2014, 2015. I wouldn't have watched YouTube videos of Glastonbury. There weren't vlogs, there weren't anything like that. Now, and even I think particularly the last couple of years, everyone is there and they're capturing content and they're sharing it. So you go and you know what you want to go and see.
Yeah.
Whereas I think back then it was just still a bit more of a like word of mouth thing.
Yep.
So I agree with you to a certain extent. However, if you do look at the numbers, the capacity is slightly growing. But I think that the people that talk about it feeling busier and feeling oversold are just people that want to say that. You have to, like, there's so many other people there who are just camping in the dairy fields and camping in those areas and just don't like moan about it. Like it's just the voices that shout the loudest. So
yeah,
I agree with you. I think the best thing, and my advice to anyone that goes to Glastonbury or is going and hasn't been before is, if there's a queue, just like walk 5 minutes around the corner and there'll be something without a queue. Like, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
There is enough there for everyone. It's
good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. On to the next one, The Kills. What a band. You a Kills fan?
Yes, and I loved The Kills at that time.
I didn't. I was a bit late to The Kills. I think I was about a year or two late to them. Yeah,
I really liked them, but I don't think anyone I was with was particularly into them. So I don't actually remember seeing them, and I don't think I did.
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
No.
Would that have been the time of the big album?
There was No Wow, and then
I think No Wow would have been a bit earlier than this. This would have been Cheap and Cheerful era, I think. Or has that been a year later?
I like both of those albums, but I definitely would have, I just don't think I saw them because I think it was one of those ones where I didn't want to drag all my friends to see something.
Yeah, we've all been there. Friday night at Glastonbury, we've all got places to be.
Exactly.
Reverend and the Makers, that high up on the bill on a Friday night?
I think that fits into our indie landfill.
I think so. To be fair, they've had a career, they've still kept going, and I think it'd been quite easy for them to throw the towel in. And I think John Reverend's quite a nice guy. I like him so much as a bloke. Do I listen to much of their music? Not really. They had a great album that came out in 2016, which had some really beautiful songs on it. And that's about the extent of my Reverend and the Makers knowledge and honesty. I
don't even know if I could name you a single song. And it's just not something I've ever listened to.
It's fair enough. I think Radio X is still sort of championing that band to an extent. But he's a nice guy, John. If you're listening, would love to get you on the podcast, actually.
But I'm of the belief that if I don't know a song, it's not because I don't like them. It's just because I don't have an opinion on them. Like, if I genuinely didn't like it, I'd probably be like...
a bit more fiery.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, fair enough. Don't know you, John. Never heard of you.
Sorry.
And then we get on to one of the great bands. Friday night, John Peel stage. Who are we looking at, Marie?
The Cribs.
Fucking hell. Wakefield.
I mean, at that point, they were just at their absolute peak.
Men's needs, women's needs, whatever. I
mean, I don't think I saw them, despite being a massive fan. I think that also that was because at that point, you could kind of see them all the time. I remember seeing them at do secret sets at Barfly. I remember seeing them at the Astoria, I think. All these venues, they were just around all the time. So it wasn't really something I needed to see at Glastonbury, but had it not clashed with the headliner, God, I would have been there.
Well, our dear friend Bawley, he was a bit upset because everyone's watching Kings of Leon. He was worried that no one was going to watch The Cribs. So he went, I don't know if he went on his own or with his missus, I can't forget now, but he went to watch The Cribs and it was actually really empty. Yeah.
Oh.
But I don't know if he was exaggerating or not. I don't know how to get sympathy, but he'd done The Cribs and I'm sure had a lovely, lovely lovely time.
But that's two bands with a similar-ish fan base, so...
Well, the big, yeah,
what can
definitely
you
a big crossover there. But that's the thing. That's the Glastonbury thing back then, where like, because it was so white guys with guitars, you'd get those fan bases overlap because that was the entire fan base going to Glastonbury.
Exactly.
Saturday, John Peel stage. Starting up, we've got another black name at the bottom. They're not in blue on Wikipedia. Who have we got?
Dogtation? Dogtanian?
One of the Three Musketeers, if I'm not mistaken. D'Artagnan, I could be wrong, but it's a bit from fiction. I don't fucking know. And then we've got a little indie, well, one of the very few indie women of that era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emmy the Great. I remember the name. I can't remember a song, but I definitely remember who she was.
Same, yeah. I remember being quite a likable person. I do remember her songs. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think I do. Sorry, Emmy.
It's been a long time. I think you're allowed.
It's been a long time. A band I'm not familiar with next. Who have we got?
Hilltop Hoods.
No, never heard of them. Up next.
So up next were a band that were very of this time.
Yes.
Don't think I saw them, but definitely loved that song.
Yeah.
It was the Teenagers.
Yeah, a band I knew nothing about at that era, and I discovered them via Indie Sleaze on one of their many playlists, and they're fucking great. It's exactly something I would have loved in 08, 09, 10, but somehow, some reason, completely missed them.
I can't believe William Hann didn't like the Teenagers.
I didn't know him. I genuinely didn't know him. I would have loved them. So I only discovered them probably during lockdown or something. And yeah.
So we're going to the next bands?
Who's next?
Holy Fuck.
Right, I have to beep that out. Sorry, Marie, just giving the heads up there.
Sorry. I remember the name.
Yeah.
I think they were a punk band, but wouldn't have been something I'd seen.
If I'm not mistaken, and I have been mistaken once so far on this, let's find out. I think the drummer from Holy Fuck is LCD Sound System's drummer.
I mean, that's something that you would know, isn't it? As the
Let's
LCD.
see if I'm right. I was wrong.
Oh no.
Yeah, okay, moving on. My indie points are going terribly here. Up next is a band that have changed their name since. Who's next, Marie?
It's British Sea Power.
Yeah, they've dropped the British.
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell now.
Yeah. You a fan?
I'm not a fan. I mean, no, but I feel like bad saying that because I don't dislike them.
I've got exactly the same relationship, I think. Yeah.
They feel like a little bit of maybe a Glastonbury band to me as well. They're one of those ones.
Yeah.
I feel like they would crop up on like the Landfill stage this year. They probably could be, but yeah, it wouldn't have been one I'd seen.
No, exactly the same. Exactly the same. I saw them support the Maccabees. Would it have been? No, I can't think when that would have been actually. But I've definitely seen them support the Maccabees. Maybe their early Ali Pally shows, not the farewell shows. Yeah, that's what it would have been. It was good. That's about all I can tell you about them. And then we're on to another very 2008 band who are, still playing the exact same sort of sets. Who we got?
The Cortinas.
Hello.
I find it fascinating, the like north-south divide with this band.
Yeah.
They sell out like, I can't. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I kind of know about 2 songs. And I'm like, fair play to you. If you've got such a fan base in one area, go for it. I wouldn't see them now. I didn't see them then, but respect to you for that. Like for building such an incredible loyal fan base.
He's got ties to Harrow,
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, someone we know is like his cousin or something. I forget who it is now. Because I remember once, my former band, Mr. Kite, for the heads out there, were playing Trinity one night and he was there. He was just there with, I can't remember who it was now, someone we know. And he politely watched the last 2 songs of our set, nodded politely and clapped, and off went Mr. Liam Frey. But he's got Harrow ties.
I mean, 2008 was a particularly great time to be in that area with all of the music that was going on and all the people that would show up to that.
Maybe Liam had his finger on the pulse.
Maybe.
But anyway, Vampire Weekend, that was their second set of the day. And another band who I wasn't aware of in 2008, who I've since realised are fucking brilliant, the Black Lips.
Yeah. No, they're again, not a band that I've listened much to, but certainly heard great things about. And I think that as we get a bit higher up, it starts to get more interesting in terms of the lineup. It feels like we've got a little bit more not diversity, because I don't think diversity was necessarily a massive thing at Glastonbury in that year.
We've got different kinds of white guys.
Look, we had Jay-Z headline, so we were making some progress, but not necessarily on the other stages, or the John Peel stage to be precise. It's pretty decent.
Run through some names. Who are we looking at here?
So we go into Black Lips, we go into Band of Horses.
They were huge for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't say one of their songs now, though. Could
no,
you?
me neither, no.
I never really liked them at the time.
It's all sort of same for me. Like, it just wasn't
Americana, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
No. Then we go into a band who I think were very much of that era, and I would imagine did a great show. I actually don't know if I saw them. It was the Futureheads.
Well, it's a couple of years past their best, I'd say. 05 Glastonbury, smashed it. Like, I watched on the telly, just magical. 06 Reading, did you watch them there?
I can't remember.
Unforgettable, says Marie. But no, that was 05, 06, Futureheads at their peak. 08, I guess they would have released their second album at that point, which wasn't very good. Even they'd admit that, I think.
I think I listened to their 22 Gram Pod podcast on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So curious, would they have pulled a big crowd that day? I don't know. And then you've got Biffy Clyro, who, of course, are back this year.
Yes, and I am actually kind of a secret Biffy fan, and I shouldn't have to be a secret Biffy fan, but I love the first 4 Biffy Clyro albums, and they were such a I love the first like 4 Biffy Clyro albums, and they were really like kind of quite cult band at that point. Like they were just so loved, and I remember even when I got into them in like 2006, 2007, I felt like I was really late to the party because they had this real massive like loyal fan base, and I still listen to their first few albums all the time. I'm not really into the later stuff, and I'm not trying to be like a snob by saying that. It's just that I have such fond teenage memories of those first few albums. I will try and see them this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm
curious to see where they're playing. Are they at the Pyramid Stage, do you reckon? Or
if they are, fair play to them. But I think, if you might not like their music, but I think if you ever read into them, look at them, like they've had such an amazing career journey. Yeah. Like they have been doing it for a long, long, long time. And I didn't see them that year because I think at that stage I probably would have been trying to do something a bit more fun, going to see someone a bit more dancey.
I was watching Jay-Z.
I mean, I was watching Jay-Z, yeah, that's very true. But I do have a massive soft spot for them, and I will try and see them this year.
I'm excited for you. I'm not a big fan of their music, but I do like and respect them as people and as a band.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Sunday, John Peel stage. Who are we looking at? We've got another 2 in black here. I'll take it away if you don't mind.
Yeah,
We've got Rocketeer and we've got Fucking Idiots.
There were quite a few fucking idiots probably wandering around.
2 of them in this fucking room.
Exactly,
I don't mind telling you. And then we've got a band called Yesayer, who I always thought of as being impossibly cool and trendy. I think they're a Williamsburg band, if I'm not mistaken. American for sure.
I remember their song. I remember liking them at the time, and I remember their song.
Yeah. I remember my friend Georgie, friend of the pod, big Yesayer fan. And if she was into them, that meant they were really cool, for sure. But was you a fan? Was you ahead?
Yeah, I was. I was a fan, but I can remember their song, like it's come into my head now, but I don't necessarily know if I would have got out of bed that early to go.
Big ask.
But yeah, certainly all the time.
And then?
The Whip.
Hello. You a fan of The Whip?
I don't remember them. Should I remember them?
Am I mistaken them for someone else? I think I am mistaken for someone else. Who are The Whip? Let's have a look. That sounded like an electro clash indie sleaze band, isn't it? The Whip.
There's something...
Secret Weapon. Oh, maybe they're very dancey, but yeah, not someone. They're not what I was thinking of actually. No. Okay, well, indie points have been an absolute disaster today, but we can redeem ourselves with one of the great bands of this era. Bump, 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 bump. Don't you feel sometimes? It's Friendly Fucking Fires.
Yeah, that was that. I definitely remember seeing them at Glastonbury.
I definitely remember not watching them and having the thump about it.
Fair enough.
Oh man, I had the that day.
I mean, I can't say it was like because it was a memorable performance, but it was there again. A band like that at that time, who what were there? A couple of albums? How many albums?
No, that was one album deep. 2008.
Oh
that album came out in 2008.
But that was.
In fact, it might have been out at that point. In fact, it definitely wasn't because me and Bawley watched them at Glastonbury, Reading, 2008, and the album definitely wasn't out at that point. Yeah.
I mean, I remember we were going to our Thursday night indie disco, Piers Grady DJ.
Hello.
And that was like Friendly Fires, Jump in the Pool.
I'm thinking Wayne Gormalley.
I mean, I'm sure Wayne was... I think Piers at this point... I actually don't even think Wayne was DJing at this point. I think it was still Piers. But yeah, we were definitely massive Friendly Fires fans, and that was so fun. And if they played this year, I'd go and see them again.
100%. One of the great bands. Ed, if you're listening, love to get you on the podcast. Who's up next?
Rocket Summer.
Never heard of them.
Nope. The Stars.
I've only heard of them because a podcast I listened to have done an episode on them, and I was like, I have no idea who this band is. And that is only the second time I've ever come across that name.
Were they called Stars? Because only reason I say that is because they're in red on this printout, and I don't know what red means, but it means something. And it's like I'm wondering, did they change their name? I don't know.
We don't know. We just don't know. Up next, another great band of that era.
Blood Red Shoes.
Hello. I remember them being on the Friday, but maybe my memory's just a little bit off.
It's fair enough.
Definitely a great band of that era. Was you a fan of Blood Red Shoes?
Not really.
You know, I thought them right up your street, that.
Yeah, but it wasn't that I didn't like them. It's just I wasn't really into them, and I feel like at that point, if I was into it, I was really, really into it.
I was really, really into
And
it. It's
so
Getting Boring by the Sea still sounds fucking electrifying. Oh my God, what a song. And then quite fittingly, the next band have got a big line through their name. The Long Blondes. I'm guessing because it means they didn't play that day, but quite fittingly, the Long Blondes nowadays are very much cancelled.
Are they?
They are cancelled.
When did they get
Now,
cancelled?
not Kate's fault.
I didn't know they
But
were
the other
cancelled.
guy has had a litany of sexual assaults against his name in recent years. And Kate Jackson, lead singer of the Long Blondes, supported him and not the victims.
Okay, I'm hearing this live and I'm quite upset.
I'm very sorry
But
to break
I was
this
about to
news
say
to
when
you
you
live.
were like we were just saying then, and I was like, oh, if I was into it, I was into it. Oh my God,
I
love the
loved
Long
the
Blondes.
Long Blondes.
God, that's awful. Okay,
I've got terrible news for you.
Sad news.
So they started making a comeback about 3 years ago, and as they started doing that, the accusations came out, and she sided with her bandmate and not the victims, and it's not a good look.
Not great.
Should we move on? Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
I've just
let's move
realised
on.
we've got another cancelled band in our hands here, haven't we?
Oh God, well they can't. Oh, sorry, maybe
Again, not Alice Glass. Alice, if you're listening, we love and support you. Crystal Castles, the guy whose name I can't remember now, actually. But yeah, again, a litany of sexual assaults and manipulation and... Yeah,
2008, man.
A rough time.
I know.
Was you a Crystal Castles head?
No. And like, it just wasn't my thing.
No, I think the same. I wasn't a big Crystal Castles head. They had an album probably about 2 years after that, which had a song of Robert Smith on it, and that was really good. I didn't mind them so much in that era. 07, 08, even 06, I guess, wasn't it? Couldn't get it at all.
I'm actually, what I find funny is going through this list makes me realise that I was actually a massive snob at 18.
Oh, I realised this recently. At 06, 07, 08, I was a total snob.
Like, I look back at it and I'm like, well, if I'd been younger, I would have liked this. But I'm like, I was extremely young. But like now, I think I've lost that. But at that point there, I would have been like, no, Crystal Castles isn't for me. That's for people that's still at high school.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't know how much I agree with you there, 100%. Up next, Spiritualised. You a fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I definitely remember like listening to them growing up. My dad liked them, so
I know very little about them actually. Tell me more.
I mean, I don't know much more than my dad liked them, but I definitely know some of their songs, and that leads me into actually the next band who headlined that day, which was another one of a band that I know because my dad liked them and grew up listening to, which is The National.
Hello. Now this is a classic case of a band that I should be more into than I am.
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised that I'm not a National fan, and I've tried. I've tried on many occasions. Blood Buzz Ohio is a 10 out of 10 song.
Yeah,
it's
that
fucking
is,
brilliant.
yeah.
I'm not made of stone. I've never connected with anything else of theirs. 2008, Marie, 18 years old. Were you a fan of The National?
No, I just, with that many bands at that time, they wouldn't have been someone I prioritised seeing.
Yeah.
That's probably the main thing.
And we were busy watching The Verve.
Exactly.
We got one more stage in us, Marie. You got it in you?
Yes, because there's some great things on here.
There is much to discuss. We are moving on to the park stage. We've hiked up the hill. It was hard work. We lost half the gang in the process. I'm tired. I'm dehydrated. One thing I'm not, though, is hungry. My appetite has suddenly suppressed itself. But we are at the park stage. Why don't you read us through a few of the names that are not in blue at the bottom of the lineup, please, Marie?
So, the Langley Sisters,
Never heard of them.
Island Line,
Never heard of them.
Magic Wands.
Big fan. No, I'm joking. Never heard of them.
Yeah, no. And then the next band, actually, I who are not in black, Beggars. I
that
don't
rings
know.
a bell. Let's have a little look. That name does ring a bell. Beggars band, or not very SEO friendly, is it? Let's have a look.
No, I definitely don't remember that name.
Beggars, God, no, it's even
No.
Google's not supporting us
No,
here. No, oh God, no. We've got nothing here.
no, not.
And then we've got Santa Gold. Hello.
I think I saw her that year, and that was very much the era of, I can't remember what the album was called, but
The album was class.
Yeah.
That was one of the few non-white guy with guitar albums I definitely brought in that era. Loved it. She's fucking great. Just, in fact, really weirdly, today I had that song of mine, of hers in my head. The one that she done with Julian Casablancas and Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
Stop Drive Through is called.
I can't.
It's a Converse advert. It is class.
Another 08 staple.
An 08 staple. Yeah, she was wicked. Sons and Daughters. I can't still remember them.
Remember the name, but don't remember a song.
Yeah, about the same.
Which is quite a probably common thing with a lot of these
Yeah,
bands.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to think my indie credentials are pretty good, but the indie Landfill names we're looking at here, Sons and Daughters, that is indie Landfill as fuck. Operator Please, again, it's giving indie Landfill. The Duke Spirit.
I think Operator Please.
Have you got something there?
Can you search them? Because I think that might have been someone in that band that went on to do something else, and I don't know why, but that name rings a bell.
Let's find out if the bell ringing is justified. Operator Please, pop band. Here we go. I mean, wow, yeah, okay.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Just
so I can tell you the band members: Amanda Wilkinson, Sarah Gardner, Tom Camanjaw, no photo.
No.
Taylor Henderson, Ashley McConnell, Stephanie Josky. Nah, sorry. I don't think there's anything
I
there.
made that up.
No, it's okay. Good name though, Operator Please. It's quite a good name. Where are they from? Let's have a quick look. They are from the Gold Coast, Queensland in Australia.
Far away.
The Duke Spirit.
I like the Duke Spirit at the time, and
I
actually,
can't remember much about them. I remember liking them at the time. Tell me more, Marie.
they had some quite good songs, and they were quite cool, and it was a female-fronted band.
Very rare in 2008.
Yeah,
My God.
Wouldn't say I would like listen to them now, but certainly were a cool band at the time.
I'd be curious to go back and give that a go. I think maybe she's quite like Alison from The Kills. Would that be a fair comparison?
Yeah, I think that's
We'll go back and give them another go then.
Yeah.
And then we've got someone who's got quite a legacy, Edwin Collins.
I mean, incredible.
What a man.
I know. Oh my God. I don't think I saw him that year.
No, I'd have got to known who he was back then, in all honesty. I'd have known the songs, but not known them about him.
I think I probably, do you know what? At that time, I would have known his solo, like some of his solo songs. So Never Met a Girl Like You Before, for example. But I don't think I would have been into Orange Juice at that point, which now I love. Yeah. So yes.
See, my entrance to Orange Juice was seeing the Maccabees at Brixton one night when they covered Rip It Up, which is a song I was familiar with but didn't quite know. And I'd be just screaming, going, what is this song? I know this song, but it was just and like, flawless.
That's one of the indie disco classics, and not Landfill indie, like proper indie. Yeah,
absolutely. Would I have been aware of his work in 2008? I don't think so.
That's forgivable, though. I think that's fine.
It takes a while to get your sort of 70s, 80s knowledge up. And then we move on to something that settles out a little bit here. So we've got Franz Ferdinand, brackets, special guest, replacing Baby Shambles. I'm not sure I remember seeing Baby Shambles on the lineup in 2008. I think that's a mistake on Wikipedia. I could be wrong.
I don't either, but I don't know if, and maybe this was different for me than you, but I don't know if I was in a little bit of a like... Well,
let's have a look. Let's see if it's on here, actually. We've got the stage behind us.
A bit of a fatigue of the like Libertines and Baby Shambles at this point.
Oh, it's probably peak in honesty. So it's a very low quality image, but I can see Pete Doherty there at the top of the thing. I don't think any of those say Baby Shambles. It's a special guest there, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure about
this. Why would
this.
you have Pete and Baby Shambles playing?
That's a big ask for Peter in 2008, I think. But this leads me on quite nicely to a question you asked earlier about knowing about secret acts. It's the 6th time today it gets mentioned. But Jack Han got given a flyer by a mysterious Scottishman who said, come and watch my band later, we're playing the Park stage. I remember
hearing about this.
Yeah, and it's a really cool flyer. I think you can still see it online. Franz Ferdinand on the Park stage, BYOB. Like, it's really cool. Jack had it, and he's like, what the fuck is this? Like, I threw it away. In hindsight, should have kept it. It would be a great little thing to put on his indie wall. But Franz Ferdinand, one of them bands I never really threw myself into in this era. I never disliked them, but never threw myself into them. You a Franz girl?
Exactly the same opinion as you.
Really?
Yeah, like just, I don't think I ever because obviously you had to buy an album back then. I wouldn't say I ever had an album of theirs on CD, but would I have danced to their songs and enjoyed them? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I actually think that had I gone to that, because also I think at that point they were probably a couple of but in a weird way I think that would have been a really fun at that point, like slightly nostalgic set, because that would have been like 3 years, and there again that's like talking about our age.
You're talking about 04, 05 like Friends at their peak. This is like them sort of growing into it a little bit.
Yeah, so I didn't see it, but I'm sure it was great fun.
A lot of fun for those that did. Then we got to John Cale, of course, from the Velvet Underground. You were a Velvet Underground girly?
Yes, but at that time, I wouldn't have been going to see John Cale. I would have just been more interested in something more fun.
If I was a betting man, I would say a lot of people probably would have gone to that hoping to hear loads of Velvet Underground songs and probably not got the experience they were hoping for. Is that fair?
I would imagine from what I know about what he likes, he was playing, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
We just don't know.
If it's not in the Glastonbury book, then maybe it wasn't that memorable.
It's probably not that bloody memorable. But I reckon the next two sets are pretty quite fun. Who are we looking at?
Dizzy Rascal.
Hello.
I mean, like, what a great time to be Dizzy. That then you had...
Yeah, take the picture. 08 Dizzy. Where are we at this point in his career, do you reckon? Are we at post Calvin Harris point? Or is this...
I think we're at quite kind of pop point where, you know, when, like, what Boy in the Corner was, what, 05? Maybe
04, I think.
04.
Yeah.
So he definitely, I think, was quite mass at this point. So I think he probably would have had a really good crowd at somewhere like second to headliner on the Park. That would have been a good night. So didn't see it, but I'm sure it would have been.
I'm sure it was great. Yeah, because I'm trying to think. Would it have been 08? Maybe it was in 07. Dizzy supported Baby Shambles at Wembley on that arena tour. And for the most part, went down well. There's a few dickheads in the front row. But it was backs to the wall. It was like, this isn't my comfort zone. But here I am, doing my thing to a bunch of indie kids. And it was sort of put himself in the firing line a bit. Take some balls, I think.
Yeah.
So him and Peter obviously had some kind of relationship going, I think, at that point. Because Dizzy Rascal into...
Pete Doherty.
Hello. Gutted to have missed that one, I'm sure. 08 William would have definitely had the ump about choosing Kings of Leon over Pete Doherty. But at that point... I'd had quite a lot of Doherty in my life, I think.
Yeah, I think we all made the right decision there. I think by that point, we were maybe all in a little bit of, and I know I said it earlier, like maybe a little bit of fatigue over Pete.
I'm taking it though, you know, it was all time well spent in my opinion.
Yeah, I think.
But I would have justified it by saying I'd not seen Kings of Leon, I don't think at all at that point. And Peter was every other week at that point for me.
And I don't think Pete was at his best then either. I think he was not a particularly well man at that point.
Post Shot as Nation, that was 07. Peter 08, oof, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think, you know, maybe the chaos of it had run its course a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and as I said, the fact that, like, I don't know anything or have heard anything about it maybe makes you... Yeah.
I remember one talking point, actually, of that show, and if I'm wrong, forgive me, but I'm sure during Albion, when he mentioned his loads of towns in England, he mentioned Ruislip that night, apparently.
Why Ruislip?
Because it's the Beverly Hills of Harrow.
I have a funny Pete Doherty story, which I...
This is the great opportunity to say it.
Okay, so when I was at school, my still to this day good friend Nicola knew that I liked the Libertines because I went to a girls' Catholic school, so like it wasn't like every girl was into like indie. And God, I sound really cringe there when I said that, but anyway, my friend Nicola said to me that her nan, I think it was maybe like Preston Road or Wembley area, lived next door to Pete's nan. And when Pete wasn't very well, she'd said, oh, if any of your granddaughter's friends like his band, like, can they like write him messages of encouragement? So I, age 15, went home with a friend at the time and made a card that was literally like, we hope you can get off crack. And it wasn't even, it was that literal. I remember we made him a card and we wrote it and we gave it to my friend and then she went off. Anyway, a few months later, she comes into school and she's like, oh, there's something for you. And Pete's nan had given him my card that was like, please stop taking crack. And on Christmas Day, he had taken a photo of himself with the card, scanned it into his nan's computer. Like we're talking like proper like 05 here. And then written me a handwritten letter that was like, thank you so much for your concern and considerations. And it's so funny because you can literally see his Christmas dinner in the background. And I remember like being like, wow, this is amazing, and bringing it home to my parents. And my dad was like, oh, that's quite cool. My mum was like, who is this man? And then like a week later, he started going out with Kate Moss and it was in the Sun. And she was like, oh, that might be worth money one day. And I've still got it. I still have it. Yeah. I'll send you a picture. But that was like a real thing at the time where I was like, what a lovely bloke to do that.
He's got a sweetheart, that
especially
man,
when you've got girls literally, like young girls saying, please stop taking crack. It's like, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But that's my Pete story for you anyway.
I enjoyed that. That was great. Thank you. Really enjoyed that. Saturday.
Saturday, Eugene McGuinness.
I know
Black.
who that is.
Do you?
Yeah, I was actually a bit upset to see that in Black. He's got a couple of good singles, and the one I like the most appears to not be in Apple Music anymore, and I wish I could remember what it's called. He was like a solo artist. He ended up joining Miles Kane's band for a couple of years, and that is the extent of my knowledge of him. If I was a betting man, he may be Irish.
That's a strong bet.
And then we've got an act in blue.
Jeep?
Never heard of him.
Nope.
And then we've got a little known act.
St. Vincent.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Early in her career.
Definitely. She is pretty cool. I can't say I like the biggest fan of all of her music.
Yeah,
but
same.
I certainly look at her as a very cool person.
Yeah, same. I think that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then this is quite convenient for me. So when we Googled that band Operator Please, they reminded me of someone I couldn't remember the name of. And lo and behold,
wow,
here they bloody are. Saturday on the Park stage. It's bloody Alphabet.
Were they a one-hit wonder? Is it safe to say that?
Massively a one-hit wonder. What's the song called again? Do you remember?
Fascination.
Yes!
I remember that.
Fascination. Again, the 07, 08 energy on that.
And I bet they had a massive crowd for that one song.
And I'll tell you what, the geezer in it looks just like me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Red cardigan, skinny jeans, lanky, ginger mop of hair.
I think you have to caveat there that was what you looked like at the time, not now. I haven't seen you wear a red cardigan in a while.
Glastonbury 2025 could be the time, really. Let's find out.
Okay.
And then we've got Guilty Pleasures. That's like a club night, isn't it?
Yeah. Was that
A
the
DJ set or something, do you reckon, maybe?
I mean, it's not the worst.
It's in red.
Yeah.
What does red mean?
I asked you that and we didn't know.
We don't know.
We need to find out.
We don't know.
It's quite an odd thing to have in the middle of the day, but I know I'm sorry to bring him up again with your brother. I'm going to actually say Kira because she's cooler than your brother.
Thank you.
And we went to the Feeling Gloomy club night on the Sunday night when I came out of my kind of
Glastonbury, sorry.
Yeah, when I came out of my COVID state and I ventured out of my tent. And that was so fun.
Was it Feeling Gloomy club night?
Is it called Feeling Gloomy? I think it was.
It's a club night. I know of it. And that was at Glastonbury, was it?
No, I think maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe it wasn't Feeling Gloomy.
This feeling.
I went to a club night with your brother.
Fine.
Let's cut this bit out because actually I don't remember what. No, I went to it was a club night. It was a well-known club night.
Indie club night.
Yeah,
There's the one called This Feeling. They've definitely done things at Glastonbury before.
Was it Power Ballads?
There's Power Ballads, and what's that? Propaganda.
It was called something like it was some sort of Power Ballads one.
Power Ballads of class. I've seen it at Glastonbury before. That's one of the great photos of me at Glastonbury. Is me being crowd surfed by my friends Izzy and Brogan on the Thursday at Glastonbury at Williams Green to Power Ballads. It was class.
Maybe it was Power Ballads. I can't remember, but it was definitely a club night. And sorry, that's why I was about to say I actually don't think a club night in the middle of the day is the worst thing, but I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine how it would work.
It would be fun though, right? A DJ set amongst all that indie of bangers.
Really?
Either way, we weren't there.
No.
Cool Keith.
No idea.
If I'm not mistaken, I've been mistaken a few times today. Fucking hell, let's find out. I think he's one of the early hip hop innovators that Kanye West cancelled has
really?
Sampled on an American rapper and record producer. There you go. Born in 1963. So I think my theory's right. Yeah. I think he's got a song with... he done a Nas album a couple of years back. There's a song called The Cop Shot the Kids. And I think that's a sample from Cool Keith. I'm having that. For once, my Googling paid off.
No, I'm impressed. I actually didn't know who he was, so you've taught me something
I've done it. There you go. Up next is Shlomo. You know who that is?
I recognise the name, but I can't tell you.
He's a beatboxer.
Okay, so there's a bit of a theme this afternoon then.
Exactly, yeah. From hip hop to beatboxing and to a very special guest.
I mean, wow.
Wow.
And I can't even remember if I was there, which makes it worse.
Well, I tried to be there and missed it by about 2 hours. So it's the last Shadow Puppets with Jack White and Matt Helders. Holy fucking moly. So I wasn't there. Obviously, the last Shadow Puppets quite famously are a very orchestral driven band at this point. They're like a 25-piece blooming band. And this wasn't that. It was stripped back. It was basically just Alex and Miles. Jack White came out to do a guitar solo on a cover they do called Wanderous Place. They'd rehearsed it once by the campfire. Jack White came out and did it pretty badly, sort of got it a bit wrong, came in a bit too late or early or something and fucked it up. And Matt Helders, if I'm not mistaken, was only on drums for one song. But would have been pretty fun, wouldn't it?
That's probably...
That feels like a Glastonbury moment to me.
I was about to say it's Glastonbury magic. Like that's one of those ones where you remember if you were there, and I think you're watching it and you're just like, oh my God. And I think that's one of those where, you know, that happens because people want to be there and because people understand that it's like a really exciting place to be. So,
or maybe people just got there early to watch.
I mean, I was more talking about, to be honest, like Jack White and Matt Helders joining something like that.
Sure.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like that, like to make that. But yeah, I mean, the people who were there were lucky, especially when we're in a flip phone era, as we've discussed.
Flip phone era.
But yeah, that is. I would have loved to have seen that, and I look back, and that's probably one of the only ones now where I've really looked back and gone, "Wow, that would have been great to be there."
Would have been good, but then the next one wouldn't have been bad either. MGMT 2008.
Well, it wouldn't have been, but I think I saw them on the Friday, so I could probably live without it.
I didn't, and you know, wouldn't have minded it.
I mean, it would have been like.
I'll tell you who was there though. Frank Long, one of the 3 bands he watched that weekend.
Wow,
MGMT twice and The Verve once. Hope you enjoyed it, Frank.
I'm sure it would have been great, but I think I went on the Friday.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Don't need to do it twice, do you? Kids is the good song. It's not that good a song. And then you've got Battles, who are a band I know very little about, but they're very liked and respected.
Yeah. I remember them of the time. Wouldn't have gone to see them, but definitely remember them.
But I think the next band might be a bit up your street. Am I wrong to assume, Marie?
Oh, of course I love them.
Of course you do.
Of course
Why
I
didn't you
did.
tell us who headlined the Saturday Park
It was Cancer de Ser Sexy, who we all knew as CSS.
Hello.
That was a great album. It was great fun, and I think that would have been an amazing set had I not been at Jay-Z.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just of the era.
Love Fox. What a woman. One of the only women of the era. It was, great bloody band.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because when I sort of like first started looking back at the lineup, I was like, oh my God, it's so indie Landfill. It's so boring. It's this and that. But when you go through it...
There's pockets of joy.
Yeah, and I think actually I'd like to compare it. I mean, that would be another podcast episode that I don't think everyone needs. But if you were to compare it to, say, like Reading at the time...
Reading was worse than this.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have this... You wouldn't actually have this like level, because actually when you go through there was a bit of a mix, but not what it should be.
Agreed. Sunday. This may have been one of my favourite days of my life. Oh my God.
Really?
It was so magical. I had such a great time on the park stage that Sunday. We'll get to it, but let's start at the bottom, shall we?
Red Bridge Brass Band.
Never heard of them. Nope. Probably some local Somerset band if I was betting. Who's next?
Ian Tyler and the Lost Sons.
Never heard of them. And this next band I've not heard of either. What are they called?
Mumford and Sons.
Mumford and Sons?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it doesn't ring a bell.
I don't know if they went on to do anything.
No, that's mad. Third from the bottom. Again, they were quite a band. I was I remember 07, 08, hearing about Mumford & Sons a lot and never really paid any attention until they started getting proper actually mainstream success.
Well, I knew more of them through someone that actually is higher up the headline, like the lineup that I'm going to mention already, which is Laura Marling.
Yes, please.
So there was the whole West London thing at the time. Mm-hmm. And as I say, we were in a little bit of a Northwest London sort of vibe. At the
West
time.
London adjacent, I think it's fair to say.
You were West, I was Northwest. At the time. So you were very aware of these kind of like sort of London subculture things that were going on. And Mumford & Sons, Laura Marling, Noah and the Whale, it was all like a kind of like Chiswick, like West Shepherd's Bush, like that kind of way. So I don't know how much I knew of them at the time, but I would have certainly associated them with that gang. And I was a massive Laura Marling fan. So yeah, at that time, I think it would have been a great thing to see.
But imagine hearing those songs, not knowing them. Like those songs that went on to become what they did.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a pretty good start to your Sunday morning, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Bleary-eyed at the back of the park by the sign.
Yeah. We were camped in the dairy fields that year, so we actually weren't that far from the park.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Class. Few bands I've not heard of after that. Alberta Cross?
Nope.
No. The Cave Singers?
Nope.
Catherine Williams and Neil McCall?
No.
Interestingly, Catherine's in blue and Neil's not. And then things get pretty 2008.
100%.
The Mystery Jets at what is undoubtedly the peak of their powers. Maybe the most lovely thing I saw that day. I remember just being like in awe of like friendship and love and Glastonbury and unity and togetherness, and watching the Mystery Jets, who I remember saying on stage, they just come back from a massive tour of America, playing to no one while this album's doing really well in the UK, and then to come on stage on the Park stage at Glastonbury and have this massive crowd there singing every word, you could see that it meant so much to them, and it meant a lot to me. It was just absolutely magical.
I mean, they were and are such a good band, and I think at that point, it just, as an 18-year-old, that was what you wanted to see. You wanted to see those bands that you were seeing all the time play, and like those songs that meant so much to you. So yeah, I was definitely a massive Mystery Jets fan then.
What a day. But I remember they did the collaboration with Laura.
Yes, and that's what I'm thinking. Is that, what was it called?
Young Love.
Sorry, Young Love.
A song that actually means quite a lot in the sort of this album orbit, because famously, my little brother who exists in this podcast world.
Do we want to bring him up one more time?
One more for the road. When he got married in 2022, I think it was, me and a few friends formed a covers band for the evening. And one of the songs we played was Young Love by the Mystery Jets, because it's a song that means so much to us and that we love so much and find so much beauty in. It was magical. But that is quite sheepishly, they sort of said, okay, up next I'm going to play this song, and I'm hoping she's there to sort of looking to the wings. And they weren't quite sure if she's going to come on or not. And it's like, okay, I think we're just like, you can see all four of them are going like, is she actually going to come out? She did. It was brilliant. And the whole crowd lost their shit. Annoyingly, though, I don't think I stuck around for Laura Marling.
Went to see Laura Marling, definitely. And I think Laura Marling is just incredible because her image, she back then sort of shied away from publicity. She sort of was really mindful of what she like said and did. And I think you look at it now, and I subscribe to her Substack, and she is still just making incredible music, making art, really, really mindful. And I just think she's really stood the test of time, where a lot of artists haven't. And maybe she's not necessarily quite as big in the mainstream as she was. But for me, like, it's 2008 there. It's 2025 now. And she's still just as relevant and cool. But that might just be my personal opinion. So there you go.
No, I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. I think a lot of people, women particularly, have sort of grown up with Laura.
Yeah.
Her first couple of songs were written like a 16, 17, 18-year-old would do. Done very well, these beautiful folk songs. But she grew up really quickly between album 1 and album 2, it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, most of those are like the songs that I kind of associate her with from those albums don't exist anymore. I don't think you can find them. Like, they're not on Spotify.
Right.
You'd have to go into like archives and yeah. But I think that's the point. I think you're meant to sound very different when you're 16 and you're writing songs about your first boyfriend to now. So yeah. Yeah.
I think, I sort of had my heart broken to her first album and then found love to her second album. I sort of really associate it with me and Sarah.
How lovely.
Yeah. She's amazing. But it was funny, actually, when she started talking, I realised why I didn't watch Laura Marling. If we were for a gear change.
Okay.
After the beautiful, tender moment we just shared there to Laura Marling. I sacked it off to go and watch Does It Offend You, yeah?
I mean...
on the Dance West or Dance East stage, whatever it was. And let me tell you, that's a band that had no business playing the Sunday at Glastonbury. They had very much enjoyed their time there, and it was chaos. They had to rip the bass guitar from the bass player, I guess, because he was just so mashed up. It was bedlam.
But that's fun. Like, that's what it's about. You can't just have all these lovely, beautiful moments. You've got to have the absolute shambles.
I had it all. The duality of Glastonbury. There it is, summarised. We could talk about the next few bands that are playing the Park stage, on the Sunday evening. There's not much to discuss here. Saki Cult, never heard of them. They're in black. Tongue, never heard of them. And My Morning Jacket, who are a band I know nothing about.
I know. I do. They're again a band my dad liked. And certainly know some of their songs, but wouldn't have gone to see them. So
it feels sad to finish on that note after such a beautiful morning Marling moment. But these are the cards. That's the game we played, right? That's the game we set ourselves up for. Marie, this has been such a laugh.
I know.
I'm so happy you chose to do this.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed doing this with you. But what I'm really looking forward to doing is having a lovely time with you at Glastonbury.
I cannot wait.
Should we make some magical memories together, shall we?
I mean, I think we can both do that. I think that with the gang we've got, I'm not going to mention your brother again. I think we're going to have a great time. And as I say, we've gone back here and we've spoken about when we were like 18 or like in our late sort of early 20s. But it's just as fun now. It's different, but it's just as fun. So I think that that's a great thing. And the poster looks a bit better. So there you go.
And so do we. This has been This Album. I have been William Hann. She's been Marie Morgan. Let's go to Glastonbury this summer and have a lovely, lovely time. Nailed it. Honestly, I think we covered enough ground there. I think we've done a good job.
Oh my God, do you want to have a tough job editing?
It's fine. That's the game I chose. That's the game I chose. It's great, honestly, Marie. Come in. Well done. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
Oh, you were great.
I'm just going to go for a wee. I'll come back.
Same, I'm
in a
bursting.
second.
Yeah.